Hey, welcome to Nutritious and Delicious, all things carbohydrate. We got to talk about carbohydrate because so many people are confused about it. Is it good for you? Does it make you gain weight? Which are the good ones? Which are the bad ones? All right, I'm going to make this super easy for you. You've got your refined carbohydrates. Those are all the white flours, the sugar-based things, candies, pretzels, crackers, bagels, white flour-based things, bagels, breads. Okay, those are not great, right? Those are not so good for you. They do raise insulin levels. They do raise glucose. They are very often trigger foods. They do make you gain weight, especially if you eat too much of it, okay? So those are, and of course all the candies, as I said, those are all your refined carbohydrates. If we really didn't eat much of that at all or none, you'd be healthier. But now you have all your whole grains, and some better than others. You have your fruit intake. Fruit is part of carbohydrate, right? It's not a simple sugar that's absorbed really quickly into the bloodstream. However, some fruits have a higher glycemic index. So if you have prediabetes or diabetes, certain fruits you might see raise your sugar levels more than others. The biggest one is grapes. Grapes can tend to raise blood sugar pretty much the most. Watermelon can jam it up a bit. But for the most part, fruit is super healthy, wonderful, higher in fiber. So you don't have to worry too much about fruit outside of quantity, but fruit is great and absorbed very differently than like a Swedish fish. You have your starchy whole grains now. So farros, quinoa, millet, buckwheat, whole wheat, rye flours, right? You get the gist of that. These are all oatmeal, steel cut oats. These are all wonderful grains, wild rice, black rice. These are healthy for you. You want to have them in your life. These grains are beneficial. They are lots of B vitamins. They have protein. The glycemic index is lower. The issue there is quantity, right? So, it's almost like I always like to say, if you eat a cup cooked, you're okay. That might be a doubled amount versus what a box would say, but that's a reasonable amount, especially when just mixed with vegetables or vegetables and beans. You're in pretty good shape if you use that as kind of a judge. Also, your pastas, you have your regular white pasta, not great. But nowadays, obviously, lentil pastas, chickpea pastas, quinoa pastas, mung bean pastas. These are wonderful. These aren't bad. They're great. 1 cup, magical number cooked. 1 cup dry blows up to much, much greater and more filling because it's got more protein and fiber. So, sprinkled on with nutritional yeast and vegetables, you're great. Should have a very good response. Okay. And then you have this area called resistant starches. These fall under the carbohydrate category, okay? Resistant starches are not fibers, but resistant starch, for instance, all legumes and beans are high in resistant starch. They bypass the small intestine. They don't get absorbed by the small intestine. They go into the large intestine. They feed the good microflora, the good gut bacteria in the colon. They create something called short chain fatty acids, in particular butyrate, which decreases inflammation, cancers, heart disease. Resistant starches can be very beneficial for you, especially in the whole food form. Those are, once again, all your beans, all your legumes, seeds, as well as green bananas. Not the ripe ones, but the green ones offer some benefit, where the ripe ones are very high in sugar and will raise blood sugar a bit. Fiber in general comes from carbohydrate, comes from beans. Beans are both a protein and a carbohydrate. Super good for you. You don't have to avoid them. And then you have part of that resistant starch also man-made. A lot of times when foods are manufactured and add a lot of extra fibers in there, a lot of extra modified food starch, things like that, potato starch, those are resistant starches. So once again, there's some benefit there. There's many more studies that need to be done, but your resistant starches naturally, once again, come from beans. And now, not to make things tricky, you know how I said those refined carbohydrates, more like the white stuff, white pastas, white potatoes, white rices. If these things are cooked and then cooled, like cooled overnight, and used the next day, believe it or not, they are what is created in that process is resistant starch. So you don't get that spike or that absorption level that's high that used to be from if you just like make a bowl of pasta and eat it, or make a bunch of rice, white rice, or even whole grain or brown rice, eat it right away, cool it, have it the next day, you have more resistant starch. So once again, you're going to get less of a spike in blood sugar, better for you, and also can help with satiety and also aid possibly in weight loss. So that, hopefully that didn't confuse you. It's just, I almost want you to look at it as all the steps and all the levels that are under this umbrella of carbohydrate. So not all of it's bad for you. In particular, the whole grains, the resistant starches, those, if you are going to eat a white starchy thing, cook it, cool it, eat it the next day. Otherwise, stick with your whole grains, beans, seeds, can't go wrong in that regard. I hope that helps on the carbohydrate end a little bit, and have a great day.